want to welcome everyone back to Watchung Booksellers. We've been having live events for the last few weeks, and it's been absolutely amazing. It's brought tears to my eyes, but we're so excited to have you here. And Marcy has been a major friend of the bookstore since she moved here, and as has Dag. So this is really special for us to have them both here. So let me just give you a formal introduction. Marcy Dermansky is the author of the critically acclaimed novels Very Nice, Red Car, Bad Marie, Twins, and now Hurricane Girl, which was deemed, this is the best quote, a wickedly entertaining read from first to last in the New York Times Book Review. She has received fellowships from the MacDowell Colony and the Edward F. Albee Foundation, and she lives with her daughter in Montclair, New Jersey. Thank you. And we're so pleased tonight to be in conversation with Dagmara Domenchik. She was born in, I'm not going to pronounce this right.
Don't even read that sentence. I was born in Poland.
You were born in Poland. Thank you. I was like, I'm not going to get that. And emigrated to the United States at the age of 7, and she has starred in films, television, and off Broadway for the past 20 years, and she released her first novel, The Lullaby of Polish Girls, that we were thrilled to host you in 2013, and her essays have appeared in the Huffington Post, Photos, and most recently in the book Pretty Bitches, edited by Lizzie Skarnick. And she's currently working on finishing her second novel and lives in Montclair with her husband and 2 sons. So thank you. I am not even going to start to mention all the authors that are in the audience and their upcoming books, but we are so thrilled to have you all here and hope nothing happens tonight because we're going to lose Montclair literati. But thank you both for being here.
Okay. Well, before you're going to read a little for us, right?
I'm just going to read the first 2 pages.
Okay.
How's that? Really short, because it's more fun to hear people talk to you. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I was going to sing your praise for a second.
Oh, you sing my praise.
Okay. So the first book of yours that I read was Bad Marie, and I read it in like an hour. I loved it, and then I read every single book. I just genuinely love your writing and the characters you create, and I think the through line is I think it's like an act of courage for a writer to come up with female characters that aren't one thing, right? That they're not like, all sinner, all saint, all slut, but like a healthy mix of the 3. And that's so courageous, and you do it in such a way that it doesn't alienate the reader. It like draws them in, and we're delightfully like scratching our heads. What's this woman gonna do? What's this person gonna do? And your writing is both thrilling, but so it's not precious. So it's like, it's just like a nice novel about something, and then bam, and there's so many bams throughout the whole book. This one, you haven't read, who has read this book? It's so good. And I don't know, it's like a magic trick what you do, like sleight of hand. Right. So I just wanted to tell you that and tell you that. And
that's good, we can all go home now. Okay, I'm so, this has been a long time, being in the bookstore and having a reading, and I'm not wearing my mask when I'm out front. It's just in the celebratory, and I have this wonderful person praising me, so thank you. So this is just really a little overwhelming. Okay, yeah. So I'll just, and I'm out of practice. I'm going to read the first 2 pages of the book, and just, and then we can talk, and then I can answer questions. Okay. Oh wait, See, I knew I was gonna do this. I let Margot take my bag, and I need my reading glasses. I knew it. It's like I don't have my. Wait, I'm borrowing a reading glasses.
Sure.
There you go. Okay. I don't know.
See if this works.
oh wait, Margot's coming.
So sorry.
That's okay. No, I need my red one. You were helping me. I just need to have a talking bag with you wherever I go. Okay. I'm off to a great start. I actually bought these reading glasses here, by the way. Full circle. Yeah. It's all good. These are red. They're so cute. Yeah, you see? So thank you. God, I'm mortified now. Okay. All right. real Allison in the audience. Okay, Allison Brody bought a beach house. She was 32 years old, sick of everybody and everything. All she wanted to do, more than anything, really, was swim. The beach house was small. It was in North Carolina in foreclosure. She had put cash down, emptying her accounts, everything that she had. She used money saved from waitressing, money saved from a small inheritance after her father died almost a year ago. She'd sold a script, too, and made some money, okay money from that, a solid chunk. It had been a horror script. It would not necessarily make a good film, but a famous actress had agreed to star in it, and so there could be more money, more scripts, success. Allison had been seen as a movie producer's pretty younger girlfriend. She could have been known in her own right. Probably it had been stupid to leave Los Angeles just when her career was starting to take off, and there were so many places to swim. Swimming is important in this book. And then what? The movie producer, for instance, had a beautiful swimming pool. Maybe leaving had been stupid. Maybe Allison wanted to create art one day, after she swam. Maybe, one day, she wanted to have a cat. The movie producer was allergic to cats. Maybe she actually wanted to live alone, and certainly not with the man who had hit her. It had only happened a few times, exactly 3, but it also seemed possible that it could happen again, even though the movie producer had promised that it wouldn't. So she drove cross country, doing the speed limit, buying coffees from Starbucks along the way. And the beach house turned out to be perfect. 2 small bedrooms and a bathroom on the 2nd floor with a view of the ocean. A front porch where Allison could drink her coffee and breathe in the ocean air. Almost all Allison knew about North Carolina was from a long ago vacation, and it was wonderful, her favorite childhood memory. The road trip had been insanely long, a caravan with another family. They had taken regimented bathroom stops. When she woke, she'd been delivered to a house with an oval swimming pool and a view of the ocean. Allison remembered a large pink dolphin float in the pool with a cup holder built into it for drinks. All the parents got drunk every night, and everyone laughed a lot, and the kids were allowed to do whatever they wanted. And that's the opening.
Okay, so we don't want to give away spoilers, I guess.
It's hard.
Right? It's very hard. But you also, that's your sleight of hand.
Yeah.
You start, and all of a sudden you drop this like big, deep truth about your character, like she wants the swimming pool and then you find out that her boyfriend hit her. You know, you do that quite often throughout the novel in this beautiful kind of way that shakes the reader, and then you go back to it. It's such a beautiful way to fold in a plot and unfold a character. And so I'm an actress. Every time I read your books, I'm just enthralled by these women, and imagine what they look like, what they sound like. It's like it grabs me in many, many ways. So I wanted to ask you, because your characters are so spectacular, but so real and so multifaceted, but so is usually the plot. What I want to know, and you can talk to us about your process, like what comes to you first as you embark on a novel? Is it the place? Because the places are very important in all your novels, I think, especially this one, her home, and what happens to it. Is it the place? Is it the general plot? Like, do you see it unfolding? Or is it the person? Like, what comes to you first? Not fleshed out, but usually. With this book, or does it vary from books? Or?
You know, it usually always just begins with the sentence. Like, literally like the first sentence, because I always sit down. One of my least favorite things to do in all of writing, I complain about, is I hate starting. I hate starting a new book. I have such a hard time having an idea. And so I just sit down and I write a first sentence, and I think this one was like, she had a beach house, right? It's really, really simple. And I think, I mean, a beach house is something that I want to have, and I don't think realistically, I actually have a house now, which I'm so thrilled about. But I don't think I'll ever have a beach house, like just financials and global warming and all of it. But so I gave this character a beach house, and after this scene, she loses it like on the next page, like page 3, she loses her beach house. And I think that was my premise, give my character a beach house and then take it away from her.
And does the character, as you're writing and creating, and you know, it's written to me, maybe the way I read it is so cinematically. You have these perfect scenes, and some of your chapters are 2-3 pages, some is just a paragraph, and they're just perfectly buttoned. Do you set out to structure it that way? Or do you just write and then you kind of separate scene by scene? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. I mean, some of this I actually made shorter as I revised. I actually had a friend who was editing with me, and she kind of made every paragraph like 3 lines. I'm like, what are you doing? And I made them all longer. It was weird. But I do think cinematically, like I do feel like almost every time I write a new scene, you almost want it to be in a different place or in a different room. It's like cut, and that's what movies do or what TV shows do now. So I always think that way. And then I think of it a lot as layering, is that I never know the plot. I had no idea. I had no idea where this book was going to go. I didn't.
That's so thrilling.
Yeah, there's a camera.
In good and bad ways, I would imagine.
But that's what I love about writing, is it's actually thrilling for me to write, because when something happens, I'm just like, what? And I just type it, or a character will say something. And it's just really fun. And so I don't know, like I don't have an outline, and I don't know what's going to happen. And so what happens most of the time when I write, like the opening pages were rewritten again and again and again. Like I didn't know all of that stuff about the character, about the dad, and even the boyfriend. Like that almost got so much more attention about the awful movie producer boyfriend. But for some reason I just threw that in, and then I realized that was really important. I must have known that was important. But so I'm always going backwards and adding in more.
So the final version of this, how close was it to the first draft?
I think the first half of this was very, very faithful. And I don't write a lot of drafts, but my agent's in here, so he knows that. Like, I actually wrote after this character moves to New Jersey. Imagine that. and then she gets into this really stuck place where all she does is swim and eat turkey sandwiches and hang out with a friend. And I think she honestly does it for like about 70 or 80 pages, and never confronts anything awful that happened to her. Like nothing. And Alex was just like, is that it? And that was like my editorial instruction. It really was as simple, I feel like, is that it? It wasn't like do this, do that. It was just one thing, like confront this. And then I literally cut 100 pages and then kind of brought it back. And then I think,
well, what's so great too is this you frame it as just like a peek into this woman's life and a few kind of terrible, surprising things that happened to her. But there's a sense of real like foreboding. I don't know if it was just me, but all the while you're waiting for something really fucked up to happen.
I just reread it, and
so
I felt
it's
that way.
there's like right?
I was like, oh my god, don't go into that.
I know. So that is there's like a thrillery aspect. But you know, I remember that in Bad Marie too. It's almost like I said, like sleight of hand, a magic trick that you're leading us toward one thing, and you're planting all these little clues about who this person is, because we kind of get to know her a bit, you know, not all the way through. Like I finished it and I thought, what's going to happen to her now? And one of my questions to you was like, so the end, you don't know what happened if you haven't read it, but the end is the last sentence is, no, I won't give you the plot. That's terrible to do. But you know the last sentence. I know the last sentence. So if this were a movie, but the movie wasn't over, what do you think the opening shot of the next scene after this would be? Without giving.
Don't give any spoilers.
Yeah, she won't. She won't.
I won't. I do. I mean, I love Happily Ever After.
You do.
I do.
Yeah.
And so when we can talk about Bad Marie, because we read Bad Marie, and Bad Marie ends with this woman. She's got her kid back that she kidnapped, but she has the kid. And they're in a hotel, and they're taking a bath, and she's having a drink, and she's really happy. And so there it ends, happy ending. But if I were to write the next scene, which I never did, I know what would happen. It would be the police pounding on the door. And she's
So that's all you have to say. Okay. I should have taken you out for coffee and asked you all these questions.
But I'm not 100% what would happen to her, honestly. But what I know what I want to happen to her wouldn't happen. You know, so I really kind of want to leave it there, because I don't want anything bad to happen. I don't want there to be any repercussions from the things that she does.
And what's your actual writing? Like, I'm always curious when I get to talk to fabulous writers in general. Like, what is your ritual? What do you do? Do you write in the morning? Do you just talk to me about that?
I really love to write in the morning, actually. I like to, Nina's not here, I like to get my girl off to school, and then I just like to have that time, and I like to do it like first thing in the day, because then I'm just virtuous all day. If I'm like done writing by 11 o'clock in the morning, then everything is like all good.
And so punched in.
And I don't, I mean, every once in a while, like when I'm finishing a book, I can sit down and work for like 4 or 5 hours, because I'm like moving really fast. But in general, I don't think I ever really write for more than 2 hours. Like, so I just don't have it in me. So I don't know. I
Right,
just
yeah.
feel like
I'm kind of the same way.
you are.
I
Yeah.
just like to get out what I need to
Yeah,
get
like
out.
I feel like some people spend 6 to 8 hours
Yeah.
and they worry about paragraphs and they worry about perfect words, and it just feels like you're making things like so unpleasant. Yeah.
What's the feeling where you are now, right? And you, I mean, people love your writing, you know, they do. Do you worry? I have a feeling you don't, but that what your next book is. Do you ever, as you finish or as you embark on like launching this book, do you already have a first sentence somewhere in there, or do you need to just sit in this for a while and?
Well,
Because you write for a living.
I
like
do.
Writing for me is a side thing,
Okay.
but this is your life and your bread and butter and who you are.
Thanks for understanding that.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's quite amazing that not only that you're writing these fabulous books, but
Yeah.
that you're making money doing what you love.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know, I have a feeling maybe one day you will get that beach house.
I like that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll have to sell this off to Hollywood.
Right.
Make a TV show for
Uh-huh.
HBO. I have an in. Don't
Okay.
worry.
Oh, look at that.
Let's dream big.
Okay,
But anyway,
awesome.
do you worry? Is there any anxiety or worry? Like, what am I going to write about?
Yeah, unfortunately, I feel like anxiety is a huge part of the process, and I don't want it to be. And I actually have, I have a 2-book deal this time, and I still have anxiety. It's just like ridiculous. You know what I mean? And so sometimes, if I don't want to write, I take editing jobs just to make money, but it's also I take them just so that I don't have to write for a while. I'm like, oh, I'll just make $2,000 and I won't write. But sometimes I feel like people are actually critical of me. They'll say, oh, Marcy, she's so prolific. And I'm like, well, I mean, I have to write these books because I've never gotten a proper job. And so I just, you know, and when I take editing jobs, I actually think, you know, I'd make more money if I was writing, except I'm not in the mood if I don't have an idea.
Yeah.
But I do treat it that way. And so.
What do you do when you do you experience question writer's block, and how do you deal with that? Like
Yeah.
when it's just not.
I think this is a terrible, and here I am. My process is that I don't write for so long after I finish a book that I just start to feel really unhappy. And then when I feel really, really unhappy, like then I sit down and I start to write again. And I always tell myself after every book, it's like broken record. I'm like, this time I'm not gonna let myself feel that unhappy. I mean, I'm there, but like right now this is really fun, and so I don't have to write. But I started something this year that I decided I didn't want to work on, and I might go back to it. But that was painful because I just took 70 pages and decided not to. But I feel like sometimes when you're forcing yourself when you write, if you feel like you're forcing yourself, you actually are forcing yourself. Like if it doesn't feel right, it actually isn't.
It's not coming from that place.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I could just ask you 100 questions because I'm a big old fan, and I really this book is not only is it just like a page turner, like a quiet thriller that you don't even think it's going to be, but it is. So you can, but it's smart, and it's just wonderful. So get yourself a copy and get your friends copies and get your mom a copy too. And now, any questions for Marcy?
I'm fascinated by the process, as you know. Is it chronological? Do you write from beginning to end?
Oh, totally.
Okay.
100%. Easy answer. Yeah. I don't know how people don't, you know, so, yeah. Sorry if that was a quick answer.
No, it was.
Yeah.
I've read The Red Car,
Right.
my brother, but the protagonists seem very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that they have something in common, all of your?
You know, I don't want them to. Like, I want to just lie to that answer. They're all different. And then, I mean, well, just between those two, I mean, in terms of, between The Red Car and Hurricane Girl, those are the books that I think have the most me in them. You know, I honestly think, like, to do anything, like, even, like, when I wrote Very Nice, there's a male character, he's a male writer, I put some of me in him. You know what I mean?
You can't help it.
You can't help it. But for these two books, I mean, yeah. But there's also fiction, so you have to guess. Like, I wouldn't write a memoir, because so you don't know what's real and what's not real. Like, some things, like there's a dog that this character's like, I don't know what this dog is going to do with my mom when it dies. That dog has actually since died. Do you know what I mean? So
Right.
there you go.
Right.
And she's doing fine. She got another dog.
Right.
But so it's like weird when you read books that are mine, if you know me, what you're gonna pick out and what you're not gonna get, and hopefully you're not gonna get a lot of stuff, and some of it you will. I don't know. You do that too. Well, you
Yeah,
wrote
well,
about
I
Polish Girl.
only
Yeah.
wrote the one.
Right.
Marcy. Everyone's got one, so
Okay.
mine's out. It's like 10 years later, she's working on finishing her second novel. That's the difference.
Okay.
But yes,
I'm
I
not
put
a
a lot
movie
of
actress.
me.
Yeah.
I put a lot of me in my first
Yeah.
novel, and it's a work of fiction, but definitely I culled from life and my memories and put characters, various people I knew into, so it's like if I took my life and put a different costume on it, basically, and you don't know which
Right.
is
The
piece.
costumes
Yeah.
are great, but I think I think if I get embarrassed and I don't want people to say, "Oh, is that when that happened?" And
Right.
people will do that to you all the time.
Right.
Sometimes readers, you don't know your boundaries. You just want to know everything. But I feel at the same time, like the more of myself I put in it, like in this book, I put little things in it. Like I put my favorite coffee mug is in this. My water bottle that my friend Sandra gave me is in this, and like all these little details. Allison's trip to North Carolina. My character had already been in North Carolina when my friend took a trip to North Carolina. So I steal from other people.
But don't you
Yeah.
think every art form we do that? As an
Yeah.
actor, every character I play, it's still some part of me.
Right?
Painters put their
Mhm.
their feelings into their art. Musicians, when they play, I mean, we all put ourselves into our art. You
Yeah.
can't separate it. So,
Right. I
you
mean,
know.
acting is like there's your fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I think is really interesting, Marcy, about your characters that I find really endearing is they're so three-dimensional. It's almost like a work of a fine art. You're painting this book and that to me, but they're not finite, which I think is great. So you allow us to add to something to them, and I just,
right.
Yeah.
that's what I
You
love
always
about your
leave
writing.
the right amount of unknown and
Right.
unspoken and unsaid. You don't give us everything about the characters, which is really, which is trusting an audience and confident too. That you're not catering to someone who has to know, is this a good guy or a bad guy? We don't quite know, and it's really wonderful. I have I have too many questions. Yes.
I just had a comment. I wanted to agree with what you said about the roller coaster aspect of all these books. When I read The Red Car, which I had forgot I bought it, stuck it on a shelf, read it like a year later, I was like, oh my God, this is a gem. Everything that happened in that book was completely unexpected. And even in this book, just having read the first whatever pages, I'm not giving anything away.
Right.
But the fact that she gets this house and it's gone immediately, you're
Right.
like, what? What? I just love that about her.
Thank you.
And then she has to live life.
Yeah.
It's not like there's a 400 pages of her ruining it or over it or crying. That's also, your novels are driven. They're
Yeah.
not stagnant. And people have to plod forward. These characters plod forward. Yes, any other questions before I start asking? More nosy questions, yes.
So you just said that you would never write a memoir, but
Yeah.
I was wondering, do you consider yourself solely a novelist? Like, would you ever take on short stories, or I know you write short stories,
Yeah.
but like a screenplay, or would you ever do anything else?
I definitely write short stories, and they get long. The last short story I wrote was 25 pages, which was really annoying because that's a long short story. Screenplays are too hard. I don't know if you've tried it. It's just all dialogue, and one of the things I really like to do in writing is I just like to go into their heads. And when you write a screenplay, that all gets cut. You're like, you can do a voiceover, but otherwise it all has to be in the dialogue. So I just don't even know how. I feel like it would be really empowering if I could write my own screenplays, because then I might have a greater chance of bringing it to fruition. And I haven't tried very hard. I've just tried a little bit, and I didn't enjoy it.
If would you ever consider a memoir?
No. And I'm not that interesting, so that's a final too. Yeah.
Someone back there had a question. Yes.
Hey, Kristen.
Thank you. So I haven't read it yet.
Okay.
I will tonight. But the whole line about that she gets the beach house and that you said you gave it to her,
Yeah.
and then you took it away.
Yeah.
And I'm a character person. I love
Okay.
characters. And we're talking about characters a lot. What do you like about her? Do you see it as punishing her, or just how life works? Do you like her? What do you not like about her? If you could give one of each.
really love her. So
But
yeah.
you can love someone.
Yeah. No, I wasn't giving it to punish her. I mean, I really do just have to, you have to create plot. Like sometimes, but what I love is when other people read things and they find meaning. Because I think whenever you find meaning in anything I write, that I meant to put it there.
Yeah.
Right? So, but I mean, I forgot the question.
Do you hate Allison?
No,
She was getting the beach house and taking away just really struck me.
Yeah.
Because you said you gave it to her.
I did.
And so was that
That was
gift
a
or
little
just because
statistic.
that's what you want? Or
I mean, I do
and what
want it,
you
and
like?
then the next scene that happens to her,
Right.
which I won't say is even
Don't,
worse.
don't.
So, I mean, it gets given away in reviews, but it's awful. Why did I do that to her? I don't know.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it's all okay in the end.
Yeah.
Happy ending in the end. Happy ending in the
What's that
end.
last line again?
No, I never said that. Wait, I have a question about a line. Or I love
Yeah.
this. I love
Okay.
so many lines, but I thought we could segue with this line into, so there's a line in here. Life was already leading her to her next swimming pool,
Yeah.
right? That's like the end of this little section. And I love that line, and I
Yeah.
thought to myself, we all probably have a swimming pool, right? This character is just finds all her peace, and I would imagine she gets to be part of the world, but the world is still around her, but she escapes it, right? In these swimming pools. So what's your swimming pool? Is it a swimming pool? Is it painting your cat?
I mean, yeah, it is a swimming pool. I mean, it really is. And I've recently found one yeah. I
Marcy, I have one. You can come over.
Okay.
Asking about all your writing.
Can I tell you a story?
What?
Like, I don't know. I mean, I met Dag the first week I moved in Montclair, and Nina and I were really, really just intimidated by living here. And you actually offered Nina to come swim at your house. Nina said, my grandparents have a pool. And you kind of turned off, and we were never invited to your pool.
Oh, I did.
I was so mad at Nina. I was like, Nina.
Where's Nina? You're coming to my swimming pool today, okay?
I've never forgotten tonight's yeah, so there you go. But she was pretty much like, no, I don't
Well,
want to.
I never had a swimming pool, so
Okay.
I was probably inviting.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably wanted you to come over, but I was like,
Right.
So
So
would you come swim in our pool?
That happened, but now in the future, yeah.
So your swimming pool is a swimming
My
pool.
swimming pool literally is a swimming pool.
And what do you do when you're not writing? Like when I'm not acting, I
Right.
write.
You
Like
write,
that's
yeah.
my swimming pool a little bit. And during the pandemic, I started painting,
You paint
which
beautiful
was
paintings.
oh thanks.
Yeah.
And I loved your paintings
Yeah.
too. Your
Yeah, yours are
watercolors.
more realistic than mine, I feel like.
I'm just
Yeah.
it's just like a hobby, but
Mine too.
yeah. But when did you start that? Like, is that your break? What do you do
I
when
do
you
paint.
want to
Yeah.
leave the writer brain and?
What's so nice about paintings, and I mean, I make little, even like not little cats, but I make little ones. I never make paintings that are bigger than that. I don't have numbers. I love finishing things. It's so much different than writing, and it's so easy.
Yeah.
It's just so easy to make.
And
a
I think you
painting.
access
Yeah.
a part of your brain that it's childlike. Because usually the last time you ask someone, when did you draw or paint something, you were probably in kindergarten.
That's when
we
I started
stopped teaching it. So we
painting.
kind of just, it's a whole nother way of being. I find it very therapeutic.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I started painting again, was Nina was painting, and parts of motherhood are just like so boring.
Right.
And I would just sit with her while she was painting, and I'm just like, well, I'm just gonna paint too. And then suddenly I was like, oh, I can do this. It was really surprising to me, and so
Yeah.
that was fun.
No, it's
Yeah.
great. Okay, any other questions? Yes, Christine.
I missed what you said before, so I want to get back to it. Did you say you don't like writing short stories? I thought I heard you say something about short stories.
No, I do like writing short stories. I mean, what happened is they just all started to get long. Like, it's almost like every short story I write is asking me to be a novel, and I don't want to. I would just, yeah.
Because I find your writing, it's like the most efficient writing ever. Like you have just every word is important.
You would probably write a good screenplay because it is dialogue, but you do have to set up.
I mean, she's such a I love you, and you should take my points too.
No, there's conflict. I
No,
don't
but
like
I am
conflict.
curious about it because you just said
Yeah.
before I like to finish things.
Yeah.
So I'm curious if that makes you sometimes want to write a short story.
Oh, but
so
here's
that
the
you're
thing
a
with
little faster.
writing. No, I hate finishing things with writing. I
Oh,
hate.
funny.
Yeah, because I just completely contradicted myself 100%.
No, it's interesting.
But like if I finish something with writing, then I have to start something new.
Yes.
Like with
No
the
pressure with
yeah,
it.
like with the paintings, I can just like go buy some more flowers and paint them. There's no stakes. But yeah, anytime I finish a story, I mean, yeah, I just have to start something. And how do you know something is worth being a novel? So yeah, I think I love novels because they take a long time. Yeah, you just get to keep going. Amy. Hi, Amy.
So
you're on the summer reading publishing cycle. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well,
Oh, okay.
it's kind of funny because yeah, because they're beach reads, because there's a swimming pool and there's an ocean, and so that makes in the cover, and so that makes it into a beach read. And I mean, I don't know, like I don't feel like my books cleanly fit into that category, except that people are swimming in pools. I don't know.
But do you feel like do you feel that that's become like that you're boxed in, or they're expecting you to come up with another hot
I don't think
summer read?
I mean, I think the expectations of me are like, let's publish another Marcy book. That's great. But I don't think they're like, let's publish another Marcy book because we're going to sell 1 million copies. I think that there's very realistic plans for me. I feel like with the book before this book was called Very Nice, and it literally was based on soap operas that I watched, that it became a summer read, and it was just sort of dismissed because it was too chatty. And I'm like, wait, no, this is literary, and there's a little bit of politics, and it's like a real story. And I feel like that sort of got missed because it was marketed so much as a summer book. And then, I mean, I feel summer reads is just like a fake category. I think people definitely have more time to read in the summer.
Right.
And so it's a great time to have a book coming out because more people want books. Yeah.
Anybody else? Yes.
I have one, I think I saw you tweeting about this, or maybe it was on Facebook,
Yeah.
about music and what music you listen to when you're writing, and also just like, do different books have kind of different soundtracks in your mind?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely listen to music, and for all of Anne Marie, I just got reminded by this. It was on Facebook today. I listened to a Scarlett Johansson album that she was only singing Tom Waits songs, and it was completely like monochrome. It was just like so flat that I just listened to that one album for the whole book so that I didn't hear it. And that was all I could do, and I don't listen to that album ever again. and then I listened to Beth Orton for The Red Car, and I think I even make fun of Beth Orton in The Red Car, like I mentioned her. And then since then, I've kind of just had like a playlist of 20 songs, and I just sort of, but it's definitely repetition. So but I definitely want to have music, and some people can't have words when they write, and somehow that doesn't bother me. But it can't just be new stuff, because then I might actually listen to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've already brought this up 2 times, but about the happy endings.
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure if it was for this one or Bad Maria, but you said you love happy endings, and then 60 seconds after the book ends, the cops are going to show up.
Totally. Yeah.
So that's a little bit ironic, but at the same
Maybe
time,
that's a good thing.
You should. That's true. But how much happiness do you have to end on? Can that be 5 seconds of happiness to have a happy ending? Could be 60 seconds. Could be happily ever after for the rest of their lives.
It's pretty short-lived, unfortunately. I don't know. I would love, like, yeah. I mean, the police don't have to come in Bad Marie. They could be completely inept and not show up. There's always the possibility, like anything could happen. Yeah.
Okay, so this is your 5th novel.
Okay.
And
That's a good question.
that's pretty amazing. 5th novel. Do you think, yes, that deserves applause. How old were you when you wrote when your first one was published? How many years ago was it? I would say, how old were you?
You're right, 36. 2005.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you ever wish? Sometimes I, watch let's say a performance of mine and go, oh, if I went back to that movie and played that role today, it would have been a much better performance. Right. Do you ever think, or would you answer for me, if you could go back to rewrite any of these, would you or would you not? If you had a chance. I always feel like it's interesting that actors get to do a role, different actors get cast to do the same role, and musicians can take a song and make their new, make a version of it. A movie has a reboot. But a book is a book is a book. And until, I guess, it turns into a screenplay. But we never get a chance to rewrite a book.
Right.
Would you ever want to? From the perspective of where you are now? What a dumb question.
It's a great question. I mean, the other answer is just sequels, and I've thought about that. It would just be like cheating. It would just be so easy. Like, I could take my happy ending and I could tell you where the next character is. And I don't know why I don't do it, because it might be so easy and there might even be a want for it, but I just don't.
But you're fully pleased with how your books are living in the world.
It's nice, actually. Yeah, I mean, people seem to still be reading the old ones. That's pretty satisfying.
Wonderful.
Yeah. But I might want to. I don't think I'd want to rewrite the same
Right.
book because it'd just be the same. It could be fun to just take a character that wasn't important until their story.
Right,
got-
from their perspective.
Yeah, that could be fun.
Yes.
Out of your books, which one would you most like to see as a movie?
Oh yeah. I want them all.
Besides them all.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, yeah, like this one seems tricky. I would love for very nice. It's like, well, that like I want that to be like a splashy TV show.
Right.
It could still happen.
Mhm.
I mean, but I mean, I really just want them all to be. I want them all to be made into things so that people will read more books, honestly.
Right.
Like, I'm not even that interested in the
Right.
production, but I want them all to happen. And I feel like that is my path to a beach house, if that's the only one. So, yeah, I mean, I totally do. And Hollywood is crazy. I mean, I don't have anything in production, and it's not, I don't tweet, oh, my book almost got made into a movie. Like, if it doesn't happen, I just don't tell. I just
Right.
like, and so, stuff has come close,
Yeah.
so.
Things fall through a lot
See, that's
in
so
our
nice
business.
to hear, yeah.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
nothing personal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, fall through, well, not come through, but they totally fall through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know the time, by the way, at all, so.
Me neither.
Okay.
I keep seeing if you have a wristwatch.
Yeah, I don't.
I
Yeah.
have two questions,
Okay,
Marcy.
Alex, thanks.
One is, I love the way the characters contradict themselves, like just from one sentence to the next. I find that so psychologically fascinating and compelling, and I think it gives the book that kind of velocity. And I wonder how much you think about that while you're doing it. My other question is, do you make yourself laugh? Because I laugh all through the reading.
I don't think about the complexity or the contradictions. I feel like, I don't think it's like luck, but I feel like it does feel like magic. Like, it just feels like, where do these ideas come from and where do these sentences, I think about flow, like, and I really know when things are flowing, and I really know when I write a sentence and I love it. I think I have made myself laugh, and I have but I don't know how I do it. Like, I couldn't repeat it, and I can't teach it to anybody, so it's kind of like,
Yeah, it's pretty original.
yeah. This was so thrilling that you
It was
agreed
so
to do this.
well,
yeah.
It was so thrilling for me because writers are my movie stars.
Yeah.
And that's the truth.
Right.
So this was just delightful, and you are a magician, and I hope beach book people and literary people and every people starts read this book and just read all your books because you really are one of a kind, Marcy.
Thank you.